The following is a transcript between Matías De Stefano, referred to as me, and his higher self, referred to as I am, originally produced on December 3rd, 2020, under the constellation of Sagittarius in the mental week, examining through the third eye chakra. Me. See beyond, have a broader vision of things, contemplate the horizon, rise to perceive much more than I could see from afar what was too close before, or get closer to what before seemed distant and unattainable. The path of discovery leads us to learn to measure things. So, I think it is important to understand what a dimension is. I am. Dimension, as we have already said, comes from the Latin dis, divide or separate, and mettere and mito, measure and to measure. A dimension, then, is a measure perceived from two separate points of view, one close and one far, the observer and the observed. Me. Like the eyes, the eye of the observer conditions the observed reality. I am. In quantum physics, which is the physics that quantifies reality, it is interpreted that all of the compositions of existence are mutable to the point where the slightest observation on something already exerts a pressure that modifies things. Thus, a minimum amount of energy can behave as a wave or a particle depending on the observer. But to understand this, let's keep it simple. Spiritual humans consider dimensions to be heavenly levels. And do you know why? I don't know. I am. Because the entire spiritual world only inherits the spiritual method of its ancestors, that is, of religions. In the ancient concepts of the cosmic organization, the humans were interpreting the universe according to the observer's point of view. Thus, the universe took the form which the human was able to capture, or at least show that aspect. That is, in the beginning, when humans were togmite, that is, their way of understanding the divine and the conceptual was through totems, attributes of nature, which gave rise to animalistic religions worshipping plants and animals. The universe was interpreted as such. The earth was a tortoise, the sky a cow, the sun a hawk, the river a snake, the air an eagle, medicine a scorpion, joy a monkey, royalty a lion, and so all the animals together made up a dragon or a mythological creature. The stars were the fireflies, which carried the spirits. The sea was the great whale, and thus its connection with reality was animalistic. In other traditions, such as in Northern Europe, trees were the most sacred and described the universe as a huge tree of life, whose fruits were the worlds, and the branches and roots extended throughout the galaxy. Me, Yggdrasil, Odin's tree. I am. Yes, many traditions in the world related the cosmos to a tree, and its branches would be the different realms or expressions of divinity, which was found in the trunk, in the center of things. In the animalistic and plant traditions, the vision of polytheism expanded, that is, believing in many gods, and the humans could also become divinities if we accomplished the necessary feats. Like a tree, the seeds that inhabit the fruits can also become a tree over time. But there was a time when this sprawling forest began to be controlled. Fights over food reorganized tribes into societies. Now there could no longer be a guide or a shaman. There had to be someone who combined all the power over many tribes, and thus the king appeared. The idea of a kingdom, he hierarchized the organic culture of the tribes, placing the king above the rest and the priests below him. Now the search for power and order would be paramount, and the idea of becoming divine would fade into the background. The political structure began to be clearly hierarchical, linking to the decision and the power of a single person over a pyramid that extended downwards to the townspeople. And this vision, despite the fact that there were attempts in other ways, was valid for more than 12,000 years until today. Thus, during this time, the majority of humanity designed the universe in a monotheistic way, with only one being in command of everything, with a hierarchical structure which puts some above others, and that to reach one or the other level, it was necessary to earn respect and to go through all of the necessary tests. The universe now had a king in heaven, and under him the archangels, seraphim, cherubim, powers, each with a different rank, up to the armies of the angels, and below the workers of the earth, the humans. And of course, like every kingdom, deserters and enemies were needed. Thus, like a mirror, the kingdom of evil is created with its own king of darkness, and all of the entourage up to the demonic soldiers and his people, evil and sinful people. In the awakening of conscious spirituality, the traditions of seeing the universe as a hierarchy remained by the habit of thousands of years, and even through the dimensions began to be spoken of instead of kingdoms. The context continued to refer to the celestial hierarchy of the same way. Me, of course. This is what caused confusion when talking about dimensions, as if they were floors in a building, levels that you have to go up or down, where each one has a specific group of entities. I am. Yes, this is what it means. Even though we have left the kingdoms, the representative and democratic republics continue to have the same way of organizing reality hierarchically. Me, but 30 years ago networks started. I am, and that's where we're going. The scientific evolution of the last 3 centuries, the conceptual change that the earth is not the center but revolves around the sun, changed the position of divinity and its reference. The size of things are different now. The distances are completely different from what was thought. Both the macrocosm, contemplating the sun and the galaxies, and in the microcosm when discovering atoms. In the last decade, the appearances of the network, the internet, online work, connections, downloading and uploading of information, data, and the quantum discoveries, all of this has enabled a new concept of the universe, which is making everyone perceive reality in a much more different, interconnected way, where there is no center, and there is no king, and there is no heaven, and there is no hell. Me. And here we are today, understanding that the universe is us, that there is no hierarchy, but everything is a quantum network. I am. And this is where we can better understand what dimensions are. An easy way to understand what a dimension is by looking at whatever object is next to you right now. Every object has 3 visible and palpable dimensions: width, height, and depth. This is all that defines the 3rd dimension, nothing more. One dimension divided into 3 perspectives. Therefore, in the 3rd dimension, life is conceived by 3 aspects: sound, light, and form. The Holy Family is considered by mom, dad, and baby. Time is divided into 3: past, present, and future. Dimensions are bending of laws of space and time. Me. This reminds me of the urban legend that you can't fold a piece of paper more than 8 times, since mathematically, if you could keep folding it by exponential mathematics, it would only fold 40 and you would reach the moon. That's crazy, but it's the logic of the universe. The more I fold the unit in on itself, the more I expand. I am. And in just 100 folds, you would have to reach the thickness of the entire universe. Me, yes, the dimensions here are absurd. Seeing that the more you try and shrink something by folding it in on itself, you would actually be making it reach unexpected places like the entire universe itself. I am. Therefore, one dimension alone folds itself 8 times, creating the cube, which folds 3 more times, creating the inspiration, contemplation, and exhalation that give rise to creation. 12 folds that constitute the entire universe. All that exists is nothing more than a blank sheet of paper that has been folded in on itself hundreds of times, creating millions of shapes in all directions. Thus, what you know as dimension is the measure of said doubling of a single thing. There are not levels to climb. There are not steps in place in a palace of light. There is not a heavenly kingdom where there are teachers or archangels. Fold the universe once and you have powers. Fold it 3 more times and you have an archangel. Fold it 3 more times and you have a galaxy. Fold it 1 more time and you have a human. Me. It is always the same being, doubling its time and its space. I am. What should you do if you want to see your feet? Me. Lean? I am. You bend your body to see your steps. You take your eyes in another direction, changing the perspective of observation to join what is observed. Doubling allows the universe to be aware of what it does, of what it expresses, of the things that would otherwise be impossible to face. Me. And what are those times that the universe bends? I am. The first dimension is the unit where everything converges. It is the same sheet of paper. The second dimension is duality, when you fold the sheet to be able to see yourself facing the other party at the other extreme, positive and negative. The third dimension is the one that adds 1 more fold to show the depth in the width and height of the duality wavelength. The fourth dimension will show the movement of the 3 previous aspects, that is, their transformation, changing their position, the sensation of time. The 5th fold or dimension would give clarity to the whole process by contemplating it and giving understanding and awareness. The 6th would allow you to recreate the existing, generate new forms from the above. Thus, in the 7th, he becomes the creator, awakening the light that is the energy of the being, illumination. This is how it expands in the 8th dimensions. It is all possible times, and in the general information network, the matrix. And in the 9th dimension, you'll find yourself in all possible spaces, recognizing yourself as divinity. Me. And it was always the same being. The dimensions are not stadiums, levels. They are the same being looking at itself in different measures. I am. The teachers, archangels, humans, atoms, they are all the same being expressing in different distances and sizes or folds. For this reason, communicating with each other is nothing more than talking to oneself and hearing different points of view of the same reality. Me. I am everyone. I am. I am. Sizing then is taking notion of the connection and consequences of all things. Everything that happens to us has a past and a future. It affects more people in different ways. Dimensioning is taking perspectives in the constant fold until realizing that conflicts or crises are nothing more than a new moment of doubling or unfolding of time and space. Dimensioning is knowing how to carefully see the connection of all things and not just say with a simple conditioned point of view. What we see is never the truth. To see well, you have to get away. An ant has never seen a human because his vision cannot comprehend the whole, just as a human cannot see the earth while standing on it. It is while we dimension things that we discover the truth. Therefore, to dimension what I am, I need to get out of what I think I am. I need to stop being a wave to become a particle. I need to stop being a particle to become a wave again. This is how the journey of knowledge begins, daring to leave what you see and believe to open yourself to change your perspective and expand the dimensions. Me. Every time one travels, moves, lives something different, it's like bending everything, adding new data. And the more I bend, the more I expand. Another paradox. I am. That's right. The blade that seems free and flexible does not get anywhere if it does not bend. There lies humility, bowing down to the feet, allowing yourself to change your view and your perception. The paradox is that the more the universe bends, the more expanded and the wider it will be. Wisdom is not gained without gaining some wrinkle along the way. Me. Quite explicit, that last one. You have to wrinkle. Only then can we see other dimensions. I am. This month's path is to expand the dimension of things, so here I will leave you this month's task. Try to write down at least one thing every day that you have learned on a trip that you've made. It could be a trip of only, a mile or two away from your home to across the planet. It may have been silly or something very big. It doesn't matter. Just take a travel log and write it down. Place, approximate date, people involved, and what you remember having learned in that place on that trip. Me. From things like, I've learned to fold a shirt, I've even learned to detach from my partner, or I've learned about the laws of the universe. I am, yes, everything. The important thing here will be to measure how we have learned when we changed our place of constant and comfortable vision. It is necessary that the body, soul, and mind know that this is possible only if I change my real perspective. Me. To change my mental perspective, I need to also change my visual perspective, the way I look at things and from what point of view. I am, so you can begin to understand that communication with dimensions is directly related to the way you assimilate information about yourself and the world around you. Only in this way will you be able to expand and speak with your other self in the different cosmic dimensions. Me. I start my interdimensional journey toward myself. I am the only possible trip.